So in my last video, no, not that one. Yeah, that one. You guys seem to have enjoyed when I ranked FNAF games based off of horror, so I figured that today I would do the same concept of that video, but I'd be ranking FNAF fan games. Now if you're not familiar with fan games, that's when a fan is passionate enough to make their own version of the iconic series in their own style. And throughout the years, ever since FNAF came out, there's been a ton of fan games made. I will be leaving the link to every game and the name to the game in the description down below. Now I must address that I will only be talking about the fan games that I've played on the channel. There might be some games that I leave out because I'm just lazy, but trust, those games were, without a doubt, really good, and I would recommend playing those games. Also, all the footage that is used in this video are of my videos that I've uploaded onto the channel. I'm just going to be reusing them to show you guys a little sample of these games while I talk about them, to see if you guys would be interested in playing them for yourselves in the future. And without further ado, let us begin with our first game on the list, LEGO FNAF. LEGO FNAF is at the bottom of the list, and let me explain to you why. This is a recreation of the first Five Nights at Freddy's in LEGO form, but the reason why it's not scary is because it's in LEGO. Now, I love LEGO, and I know you love LEGO too, or maybe you don't, I don't know. But LEGOs are not scary, alright? Let's just come with the terms here. LEGOs are not scary. So even a franchise like Five Nights at Freddy's couldn't make LEGOs scary to me. Now, I will say one thing about LEGO FNAF is that it is nice and colorful, so it was a nice change in pace when I was playing this, because, it's not every day that I want to do something scary. Now, the next game on our list is called A Bite at Freddy's, and the game was great. It has a really unique concept, and it has nothing to do with the mechanics of the game itself, but rather the animatronic designs. Now, these are the animatronics. You look at them, and what would you think? I mean, they look goofy. There's nothing else to really think about them. They're small and pixely-like, and you just want to push them around and put them in a locker. The objective of this game is different rather than that of the original FNAF game, where you're in an office and you're trying to get food delivered from the kitchen to your office so that you can have that then delivered to the customer. And the animatronic's job is to interfere with the food and get into your office at the same time. So you can see where the mechanics get a little unique, but the animatronics are just not scary, so I had to put it lower down on the list. Our next game is Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese, and this game was indeed scary because it's the closest thing that we'll ever have to the real Five Nights at Freddy's. And I wouldn't be surprised if FNAF was based off of Chuck E. Cheese. So this game gets a little bit more points than the average game for being a little more realistic. Now, the scariest part of this game, without a doubt, are the animatronics. Chucky and the rest of his friends have been tweaked in the FNAF style so that it fits the aesthetic and actually makes the game scary. But the reason why I can't put this game any higher on my list, despite it being so close to home with a place that I used to go to as a child, is because the games that are to come are even scarier than that of this. Now, I would keep talking about that, but there is a game that I really want to talk about, and it's FNAF Real Time. Now, I did play this, of course, as I did with all the other games, but the one thing I would say about this game that wasn't scary is the real time. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but let me explain. So FNAF Real Time was one of my most anticipated games to come out this year, and it did, and I did play it. Now, the scary part of this game has to be the fact that Bonnie and Chica can go on either side of the door when they please. So that is pretty scary, but I feel like watching the animatronics actually move in real time doesn't frighten me as much as seeing them teleport in the original game, because that actually leaves me with a bit of confusion and a bit of worriness, because now I gotta figure out which room they went to instead of seeing them go to that exact room that I know they're gonna be in. Now, our next game on the list is FNAF Across the Street. This is by far my favorite FNAF fan game that I've ever played, still to this day, and I would recommend anyone who has a PC or laptop or phone to play this game. Now, the game follows our character who's stuck in this barn-like structure who has to watch over these unwithered animatronics from FNAF 2 while they scatter themselves across this barn. Now, their objective is to make it to this specific room. Your objective is to stop them from getting into that room and to stop them from getting into your office. So it does a really good job at keeping you awake during the game. But I will say this, the mini games are what stops this game from being scary. By far, the mini games are the best part of this game. That's why I love it so much. But I feel like knowing that after each night there is a mini game to play, you feel a little soothed, and that you don't really feel like, oh, This isn't as scary. I just need to beat this night, which isn't that hard, and then I can get a mini game to learn some lore, and then I have to go back and do it all over again. So I feel like the mini games are what stops it from being a little scary, but I would still play it nonetheless. I will say this, however. I think the animatronics do look scarier when they're unwithered than they are when they're withered, just because they have this eerie vibe to them that makes them feel like they're not supposed to belong, because you're supposed to see them when they're all destroyed and like tattered up, but seeing them in this pristine condition, it just makes you feel unhinged. Now our next game on the list is FNAF Baddington Edition. Now if you don't know who Baddington is, he's an awesome YouTuber who makes FNAF VHS horror on his channel. You know, he does a bunch of animations, and he's a really cool guy. You should really check him out. I've done reaction to most of his videos, but his animatronic designs were so scary that they ended up getting their own iteration of the first game. Now I will say this, however. Yes, the animatronics are the scariest part of Baddington Edition, but because it is just the exact same concept of the first game, except it replaces the original animatronics with Baddingtons, it doesn't make the game feel a little bit scarier. Like the animatronics, sure, but the gameplay doesn't help tune up the horror of the game, so I will keep it at this level in the tier list. Now, our next game is Shadows Awakening, another game that I was very anticipated to come out, and I played it recently on the channel, and all I had to say was it was horrifying. The game was so scary that I couldn't even bring myself to finishing the game. That's how scary it was, but there was one thing stopping this game from being higher on the list. It was the fact that it was a demo and that I can't fully assess this with the rest of the games that I've played until the full release comes out. So until then, it will stay here on the list, but it was definitely horrifying. Let me just talk a little bit about the game so that I can explain to you why it was so horrifying. You're in this house, presumably your house, and you think that it's abandoned, even though it's your house, and you're being followed around by this giant Freddy-like animatronic. His name is the Centipede, and he doesn't really move. He just stays in these locations throughout the house where you would most likely find more bits about why he's there, why you're there. And the scariest part about that game is towards the end, where everything turned, like all the lights turn off and you have to navigate the house with the flashlight and the camera, and Freddy is invisible. You have to hold the space bar to focus your energy on finding out where he is, and that is what truly made this game horrifying, is the fact that you don't even know when he's actually watching you and when he is. Our next game on the list is Sinister Turmoil, which is a game that follows a plumber who has to go underneath the ground of an abandoned amusement park and fix these pipes before the sewage system floods or something like that. I don't know. I'm just being chased by 𝖐𝖏𝖏, so that's why this is horrifying, and I will explain more about that in a little bit. Now, the reason why this game is so high up on the list is because this is more of an open, like free roam type of game. So you're like running away from the 𝖐𝖏𝖏 in this maze type of sewage system, which is absolutely horrifying, and I would know because I played it. And the 𝖐𝖏𝖏's design is like not of that in FNAF 2. It is tweaked to be even scarier, and she's massive, so all in all it makes the game horrifying to play. And now I didn't make this the number one because the next game is even scarier than that, because it is FNAF 4 Remake. The game is called When the Lights Go Dim. Now the reason why When the Lights Go Dim is even scarier than a free roam game when you're running away from the 𝖐𝖏𝖏 in the sewer is because the animatronic designs have been even scarier than the ones in the original game, and the gameplay has been changed so that it's not the exact same as FNAF 4, but it's similar enough to where it wouldn't, change it too much. I mean, just look at these animatronic designs. Would you want to play that? I did, and I did not enjoy my time playing it because of how horrifying it was. These animatronics have been tweaked to the point where you don't even know what you're looking at. Like, the thumbnail for my video for this game, I still don't even know what I'm looking at. I know it's Foxy, but if I were to show this to somebody who doesn't play games or who doesn't play horror, they wouldn't even know where to begin with a design like this. It's horrifying. Now, I do have a game that's even above of FNAF 4 Remake, and I know that might be surprising, but it is a game called Fazbear Nights 2. And this game was so horrifying that every time I played it, My heart rate would go so high that I would actually have to stop myself from playing the game before I gave myself like some sort of heart attack or something like that. This game is a free roam version of FNAF 2, except I lied. It is like an amalgamation of a bunch of FNAF games where you're running away from the withered animatronics, the regular animatronics, Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, Shadow Freddy, Shadow Bonnie, Golden Freddy. It doesn't make sense, but it was so scary because you're confined in such a small place, aka the pizzeria. It's not like Sinister Turmoil where you're in a huge sewage system where they give you leeway away from the animatronics. No. In this game, you're always running away from something. And I even tried hiding in the bathroom, but Freddy is programmed to always know where you are. So even if I just stayed there and waited the night out, he would know and he would go and he would like finger my butt. And I hated it so much. And that is the scariest FNAF game I've ever played. It's at the top of the list. It will probably stay there until a game dethrones it. Probably another free roam, but that is by far the scariest thing that I've ever played. That was my FNAF fan games ranked by horror video. If you guys enjoyed that video, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know if there are any FNAF games that you've played that you would like to see me play, or if you've played any of the games that were mentioned in this video. You guys have had a good day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.